Hey guys, it's Tommy. I'm here to share with you about an exciting opportunity to get the message of the gospel out to many of your friends and family in a simple and meaningful way. We, as Jersey Metro, are going to be sharing our testimonies or our stories on our social media under the hashtag LightUp2021. But before we do that, I want to share with you about the 5 basic elements to consider when sharing your story. Our stories are significant because they are the story of how God has rescued us from the penalty of death and separation from Him that we earn as a result of our sin. Our stories tell how our lives have changed and highlight God's character and who He is and what He's done for us. When we share our story, we glorify God. Now, there are 5 elements that you should consider when sharing your story. The first element is the opening. Think about a theme that you can use throughout your story. For me, my theme was always about purpose. And where did I find purpose in life? Even if you've been a Christian since you were young, you can think of challenges that you worked through as you tried to live out your faith. What was it about your life that God used to bring you to Himself? Think about those things. The second element is to talk about your life before Christ. Tell what your life was about: school, relationships, drugs, etc. But don't dwell on and glory in your sin. The point of our story is not how great our sin was, but how great a Savior we have. Think about the things that relate to your theme specifically and how those things didn't meet the need that you were trying to fill. The third element is how you came to Christ. So talk about the first time you were exposed to the gospel, or maybe when you gave complete control of your life to Christ. Talk about why you made this decision, and be clear that it wasn't just praying a prayer or raising your hand, but the actual act of receiving Christ by faith. You should be able to clearly communicate the main points of the gospel, even the main points of the Knowing God Personally booklet in your story, so that the hearer knows that you received Christ by faith and that they can too. The fourth element in sharing your story is to talk about your life after you receive Christ. Share some changes since then, including and especially focusing on your character and attitude, not just on your behavior. That keeps the focus on what God has done and not on what you have done. And talk about struggles too, because life is still hard, but you should be depending on Christ as we face these hardships and these challenges. And the fifth element is the closing. So summarize with a statement. Use a verse if you want, but only if it works within the context of your theme and your story, not just in a way to sound more spiritual. Now, a few things to consider before you post your video, before you share your story. First, I always encourage you guys to write it out. Write it down and practice it. You're only going to get better the more times you have practiced it and the more you have actually thought about it ahead of time. Get feedback from your staff. We'd love to help you. Again, try to stay away from denominations, since we really don't know where people are coming from, and to say something about one denomination or one group might turn off somebody in that way. Don't use vague terms like joyful or peaceful without actually explaining them and what it means to you. Don't use words that only Christians would understand. Now, for this challenge, we want you to keep your story to about 3 minutes. So share it with your staff so we can give you feedback, and then on January 10th at 8:21 p.m., which is 10:21, we're going to post our stories on our social media pages under the hashtag LightUp2021. There are more resources on this page to help you. I'm really excited about this because I love to hear stories, and your story, your testimony is amazing because it's the story of how the God of the universe stepped in and changed your life, and therefore your story really should be shared with others. So I'm excited about this. Please let us know if you have more questions. I'm looking forward to hearing from each of you.